Hello there, welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Jadel Kabir. I'm excited that you've joined us for political conversations that are simple, truthful and biased. Prof putting them across in a hard-hitting way. How are you, sir?
Wonderful.
You're doing great.
Oh, great.
What is your general review, or is it analysis of the interview that Ruto had with the media?
I think it is somebody struggling and fighting to make a point.
Oh, really? How's?
Because you see, what I tell people, just stick to the simple truth. Just what needs to be done and how it's being done. You know, that would be the best way to do things.
Stick with the truth, you think?
Simple way, what needs to be done, how you are going to do it, what are the challenges, how you intend to manage the challenge, to handle the challenges, that's it.
Do you really think he
Don't try to force anything, you know, don't try to over-defend things. For example, you can't defend GMO, for example.
And that is our conversation. Maybe I should ask you this. Homa Bay Town MP Peter Kaluma says the GMO debate is beyond matiti, breasts. Let's empower our people, not foreign businessmen. In case you missed it, this is what Ruto said about GMO.
Tunalipa 30-40% more kwa hiyo chakula ambayo iko 1% GMO. Sasa mimi tukajiuliza kama ni 1% ama 2% ama 3% ama whatever. Si percent tu ni percent, sasa chakula yenyewe ni GMO tayari. Sasa hii kusumbuana na percentage ndio ulipe gharama nyingi, hiyo ni kukosa mpango. Na mimi nataka nikueleze ndugu yangu Joash na wa Kenya. Mimi kama kiongozi wa nchi siwezi kuhatarisha maisha ya wananchi walionichagua. Mimi mwenyewe I am a scientist. Yeah? Scientists wote wa taifa letu la Kenya, every university in Kenya, every scientist in Kenya wanakubali ya kwamba GMO haina matatizo yoyote. South Africa, the whole of South Africa, 100% GMO. Marekani, 100% GMO. Nchi zingine, 100% GMO. Umesikia mtu amemea pembe huko South Africa kwa sababu alikula GMO? Ama amemea miguu? Ama wamama amemea ndevu? Nasikia watu wengine wanasema sijui nani atamea nini. You know, hii ni porojo na propaganda ya watu ambao hawataki tuwe na uwezo wa kuzalisha chakula ya kutosha.
You say it's an issue that should not...
You cannot reduce GMO to perhaps only one thing, like for example matiti and the rest, that it has challenges on our health when you consume it. That may be or may not be the case. But there are many issues surrounding GMO.
I want to know, he says, first of all, this is Peter Kaluma, the Homa Bay Town MP, says let's empower our people, not foreign businessmen. From this alone, you think he's going to hinder the way we have been practicing agriculture and how we've been exporting?
Let us start by saying the whole issue surrounding the GMO this particular time, the speed, the hurry, that he even used a cabinet that was on its way out, which strictly doesn't know how the world works anyway, shows you there is a hidden hand pushing Ruto. That GMO is a foreign interest thing, not a Kenyan interest thing. Let's start there. Other issues can come later. It's not our issue. If it was our issue, we can discuss. The world is changing. We may need GMO. But what is the hurry?
You know, we've had these conversations of GMO and now...
No, it has never really, because the world seems to be hesitant. And Kenya was treading the same path of being cautious. So we can say, from 2012 up to now, so much has happened. We have benefit of hindsight, benefit of more research, more science. With that in mind, can we put the issue on table and discuss as Kenyans? But what Kaluma is saying is, does it really seem to be in the interest of Kenyans?
I want to know this, because there are some European countries that have gone ahead to ban GMO. There are others that are still questioning whether...
Even those that have not banned, like if you go in the US, those that have not done, there's very serious control as into the space, the zoning where you can do those kind of things, the science that goes with it, the consumer protection in terms of the consumer being strictly aware when you enter a supermarket that this is GMO, like in America, this is not. So all these issues cannot be done by Ruto in 2 minutes, like he's trying to do. That shows you somebody is pushing him, which is not good for the country. What Kaluma then is saying is, beyond the possibility of harm to the individual, is there other harm to the country, to Kenya? And the answer is yes. If you do GMO farming, certainly it has to be large-scale farming, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe at Gulana Kulalu and other large-scale farmers. And because of the scale of production, and because of the yield, that's why we are going GMO, because of the yield.
Yeah.
So when a miserable farmer in our Gishu is doing at the very best 25, 30 bags per acre, these guys can release 60, 70 bags per acre.
Yes.
So the farmer in our Gishu, where incidentally William Ruto comes from, is being edged out of farming. That's what Kaluma is saying. If you go full thrust into GMO, importing the maize which is cheap, and the planting is here, it means you are in a sense saying, my very good people of Rift Valley, of Nandi County, of Uasin Gishu County, of Trans Nzoia County, you, my good people who have put me in power, I want you to collapse and die. Because it will take time for the farmer in Uasin Gishu to diversify from maize to something else. It's not something you can do overnight. In the meantime, GMO will send the North Rift into extreme misery. That's what Kaluma is saying. That's what Ruto should not avoid. Because these are his people. Anyway, apart from the health issues which will affect all Kenyans, and the biodiversity, which affects everybody, because then it interferes with the DNA of other plants. And therefore, within time, you cannot grow the things we are used to growing. Apart from that, purely from a livelihood point of view, the people who will suffer the most are the Kalenjin people who grow maize in the North Rift. This is what he's doing to his own people. He's giving them a backhanded slap.
Don't you think it's politics aside for him? Let's make Kenya work and use Sakaja's mantra with this one. Politics from the Kalenjin region aside.
I have said many times, time without number, some people would say. I have said this, Jad. We have a deficit of about 10 million bags to meet our domestic needs of maize. Thereabouts. Minus, add, subtract, minus, plus. You don't need to do anything serious to meet the deficit of maize. No. You just need to handle the small things that are derailing farmers. Just, for example, get a serious fertilizer plant. Work with the people from Morocco and these other countries that do fertilizer. Make sure Kenyans get proper seed. If you give Kenyans proper seed, that alone, you'll meet the 10 million deficit. Seed. But look here, what has happened? So nobody can convince me, including Ruto, that he's serious about agriculture. Because why do you want people to do business with seed and yet the government can provide free seed at no cost to the government? Very little money. The universities have a lot of land. Seuku has a lot of land for a certain variety that is drought resistant, if you wish. University has got the Katumanga, this maize thing in where? Kibwezi, thousands upon thousands of land. Egerton has thousands of land. With the expertise, with the Kenya seed, government can use, I don't know how much, but it can be little money which State House uses for tea.
But don't you think...
to give Kenyans free seed, so nobody else can sell seed in this country. Because there will be free maize seed.
But my question is...
and it will cost government nothing.
Don't you think...
let government start there to convince me they are serious.
Is it not the cost of agriculture and the retail price of, say, something like Unga that makes him say GMO is much cheaper than...
No, I'm telling you, you're not getting it. Stabilize the production. Let Kenyans produce sufficient for food. That way, it stabilizes even the pricing because there is no shortage. Shortages are the ones that bring all manner of things. Because when you have shortage of maize, you then do what the agriculture minister and I think some minister, is it Korea, has done to allow importation of duty-free maize. What that does is to distort, because then the farmer is given a competition by maize that has come in duty-free. He cannot compete And therefore he cannot farm the following season. Or doesn't farm sufficient. So stabilize the production to 60 million bags. What do? Give free seed. All the fake seed will disappear. And for the government to deliver free maize seed to farmers, I have not done the arithmetics, but it's purely from what I know, common sense. It is something as little as the money the president uses for entertainment. That could be enough. I mean, I'm exaggerating a bit to make the point.
Yes.
But I'm saying it's not money. I will be shocked if it is 10 billion. I would be shocked. I will collapse in shock. I don't have the figures. Let nobody say Manyora is floating figures. But I'm saying from my common sense understanding, it's done by University of Nairobi, who has a lot of land in Kibwezi and even here. Egerton has a lot of land. Seuku has a lot of land. Kenya Seed has land. And then they are supported by all the government and university experts. That knocks off the cost to the bare minimum. Therefore, you give people free seed. I'm saying just by giving Kenyans free quality seed, ruling out all this fake seed in the market, what happens? You will clear the 10 million deficit. Then there's a lot of wastage. Not wastage, a lot of loss.
Yeah.
Because when people are harvesting and it is raining, they have a problem with drying their maize. Okay. If government just facilitated things of that nature like dryers, you know. And then there's the issue, the elephant in the room. When I have had my 200 bags, there is nowhere to sell. National Cereals and Produce Board is not buying the maize. What happens? Conmen come, middlemen come, they are conmen. They give you terribly low prices. What do? You sell because, unknown to Ruto, if he doesn't know, let me tell him today. People in the North Rift, average people there, pay fees once in a year. If you don't pay with the maize you have harvested, you will not pay fees in the course of the year. Yeah. If you wanted to buy your child a shirt, you buy it after the harvest. They do everything that. So because of that, they will give the maize a throwaway. So somebody who did 10 acres last year cannot afford to do the same 10. He will now move to 8 and then 5. So what I'm saying, these little things like providing marketing for the maize, storage for the maize, drying facilities, proper seed, working on a fertilizer plant. This country will have more maize than it needs and it will begin to export long before you think of irrigation. Irrigation will come 50 years later. What you need to do for Kenya to be self-sufficient is low-lying fruits, these ones. Pluck.
Hey, Senator,
so nobody should lie to me. They are serious about agriculture.
Ledama Lekina says, President William Ruto is lying to you Kenyans. GMO is dangerous. Please stay away and say no to GMO. The pressure is from the West. It is not good for our economy. Goes ahead and speaking about we will destroy the markets in the European region. We know Europe, some of those countries have banned GMO.
Because once you bring GMO here, it means even your rivers and lakes have traces of that. And therefore, by European standards, even your fish and other animals, products, they will not go to European market. So what is the president telling Kenyans? You know, the president must know he's talking to people who are intelligent.
But the president says we have been consuming GMO.
It's not that simple.
It's about 1%. No. And the cost is 30 to 40% more. Let's just make it.
You don't reduce it to something. 100%. What I want to agree with the president, that the world is changing. And whether we like it or not, we must have a conversation around GMO. So what we need today is not to introduce GMO. Is to start a serious national conversation on GMO. Then we will see where is the science, at what rate is our science today? Where is the world science today? What is the research saying? What are the harm levels? What all these issues we discuss and look at what other countries are doing. So we can say, well, we are going to GMO because we can't avoid. What we are going to do, we'll zone the country and say, the Tana River, the Delta, whatever area, Gulana Kulalu, 2 million acres will do GMO. Protection. How will we ensure that nobody carries the seed to Kitale to damage the ecosystem and the farming there? We work out all those things. Then we say, when we produce GMO, is it for our consumption, human beings or our animals? Or do we export it? We will have all these conversations around GMO. And finally, an answer will come out. We can say, well, we can't avoid GMO. Let's do it in Tana River. We protect ourselves in this manner and this manner. When this food goes to the supermarket, Every supermarket must have a specific corner for GMO food. So if people want to buy, let them buy. You know, we will talk about it. I agree with the president. You cannot close yourself from science. But you cannot impose it on our people. You need them.
Actually, it's the High Court that suspended the government's plan to import. So we need to have that conversation first. According to
People
Raila,
can run you out of town. Something small can happen and they run you out of town. Because they say, we told you this GMO is bad. Now look at this. Mtoto moja amezaliwa na vichwa tatu.
but you know that you can't, that is exaggeration. But there is no proven health hazards that comes with GMO.
Neither is there proven
that
science that it doesn't cause harm.
that it doesn't.
Yes.
So for now, we need to have that.
Why do you think people don't want to eat GMO food?
Because
Why is science cautious?
I guess it's all about doubt, is it?
It's about anything that interferes with DNA, manipulation of DNA, must be approached with caution. Just how much knowledge do we have about it? Yeah, that alone is enough to make people, hey, let's wait and see. But to avoid biotechnology, where GMO falls, is to play in the 18th century league. I agree with the president. This is the 21st century. You can't avoid matters of biotechnology and GMO. But we have to put the conversation on the table.
So
To minimum what Kaluma is saying, harm to the people of Kenya, including running farmers in North Rift out of business, out of livelihood. They will become beggars.
So should we now have this conversation apart from the health issues?
Yes.
We just talk about
How are you going to
farmers
affect the farmers in North Rift?
and the business and marketing.
Yes. How are we going to affect our European market for our products, animal products, fish, meat, what have you? This is a conversation you must have. You can't just introduce GMO.
But someone now watching now would say, tell me, Prof, should we agree with GMO or should we say no to it? If
We
someone is
cannot,
watching now,
it's not a simple matter. What we must agree with, the world has changed. Science demands that we have to have a look at biotechnology. We are already there in many areas, by the way. The cotton is there. BT cotton is already there. So you can't run away from it. We need a national conversation just to avoid the mistakes. And in any case, you need a buy-in from the people of Kenya. You need people of Kenya to go with you if you are the president. To see where we are, we need this thing. So if you involve them and they have a buy-in, they accept it, should anything come out of this, should there be any issues, they will work with you as you solve those issues. But to introduce GMO, and the first casualty are your people in North Rift, you'll pay for it politically.
This is a conversation that we'll continue having now. The courts have suspended it. We'll have to wait and see if they lift the suspension. Until we do talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.